What's up, Financial Zen Masters? All right, I thought I'd give you a quick recap of the 4-part series that I just did for you on how to generate passive income from your money. But first, welcome to the Financial Zen channel, where the big question is, how can you, a super successful, hardworking overachiever with kids at home and a mortgage to pay, how can you quit your 9-to-5 grind to go pursue your passion while still providing for your family? That's the question. I got your answers. I am Rick Valenzi, a certified financial planner, the founder of Financial Zen, and your guide. So this was fun. I got a lot of good feedback on the passive income thing. Like I said before, it's a question that I get a lot in terms of like, how do we generate passive income from our portfolio? And my answer is always like, well, when you cross that bridge, when you retire, then you need to. Right now, you just need to grow. But it helps to know that the system to set your mind at ease in terms of how we invest your money prior to reaching that point where you actually do need to generate and live off of the money that you have saved. So let's recap. Number one, historically, the rule of thumb for financial professionals all across the land has been the 4% rule, where you just withdraw 4% of your money no matter what. The problem arises when the market tanks like it did in 2008. When you're down 50%, do you either cut your living expenses in half, or do you continue to take out the same amount of money and double your withdrawal rate? Neither one is a great option. Therefore, I came up with the 2-bucket system, which divides your money into 2 separate buckets. The first bucket is your paycheck bucket, your income bucket, your living expense bucket, however you want to think of it. I think in doing these videos, I've settled on calling it your paychecks bucket, because that's where your paychecks will come from. So you got your paychecks, 10 years worth of paychecks sitting in one bucket, and the other bucket, you keep it all invested in your market like you have, forever. And within that paychecks bucket, you buy bonds and cash. 2 years worth of living expenses in cash, which is your first 2 years of living expenses, and then 8 years of bonds sitting on top of that. So you got 2 years of cash and then 8 years of bonds, 10 total years of living expenses paid for and ready to be paid out to you via paychecks to live off of, to pay your mortgage and to buy the groceries and to go on vacations and all that fun stuff. Okay, so that's the 2, and then in the investment bucket, the growth bucket, you keep that firing all cylinders, pedal to the metal. And the reason we're comfortable doing that is because we know we got 10 years worth of living expenses set aside, so we can weather the ups and downs, the winters and summers in the market, so that we can get our 10-ish% per year in our investment portfolio. Okay, which will then refill the buckets that we're spending over here. Okay, I think I just recapped the whole thing. I think that was 1, 2, 3, 4. So lesson 2 buckets: living expense bucket, paycheck bucket, and growth bucket. Lesson number 3 was how to fill up your living expense or paycheck bucket, right? So that's the bonds and the cash. And then lesson number 4, final lesson, was how to replenish the living expenses that you're spending down here, right? So this bucket's always dripping out money because you're spending it, because that's what you're living off of. So you need to refill it with growth that you get in your investment bucket, but only growth in the good years, right? You keep the money intact. You never want to sell into a down market, because that's the worst thing that you can do. And that's why you set up this whole system in the first place, so that you don't have to sell into a down market, which is where you get caught holding a bag you don't want to be holding when the market tanks. That's the recap. So hopefully that was educational. That's really pivotal. And I'll give you a free bonus on top of that. Your financial Zen number, which we've talked about before, is directly related to that. So your financial Zen number, now this is a rough rule of thumb, so don't take this to heart. You need to do some deeper calculations than this. But the rough rule of thumb is your financial Zen number is 20 times your current living expenses. Let me say that again. Your financial Zen number is 20 times your current living expenses. What I mean by that is your financial Zen number, remember, that is how much money you need in savings to put into this 2-bucket system to generate enough income every year to replace your living expenses. So if you're spending $100,000 per year today, you need 20 times that, which is $2 million. If you have, in reverse order, so therefore if you have $2 million with this 2-bucket system, you can generate $100,000 in income on an ongoing basis. See how that works? Living expenses up to how much you need, down to how much income you generate. It's just that simple. All right, I hope you like this series. I actually plan on making a course out of this. I think this is really ripe for a deep dive into all of this material. We really only scratched the surface. Believe it or not, we only scratched the surface over this 4-part series. And so stay tuned for that. I'll probably be announcing that. My plate's pretty full. Probably be a week after next, or a month after next. But stay tuned for that. And hope you learned something. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment. Thanks as always for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.